Well, would you look at all that traffic on the 110? This is Corey, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. It is 4:49 Pacific. That makes it 7:49 Eastern. And The Anthem is back live from coast to coast with episode 190 of the podcast.
190.
Crazy.
10 away from 200. Can you believe it?
We got to think about doing something special for episode 200, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll have to figure out what that is.
Yeah, well, we have 10 weeks to get it down to it.
We'll see. So that'll put it just after the first of the year, right? February? It'll be in February sometime.
Yeah.
So
maybe it'll be a Saint Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we'll have to get Corey out of the apartment to actually do something for Valentine's Day. That'll be our special episode. I think that's the way to go. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you're checking out live, you're doing that at youtube.com/OTheAnthem/live. If you're hearing this on Tuesday, welcome to the podcast, an audio-only version, but you're missing out on half the show. Make sure you go check out the recorded video on YouTube. It'll be available there. And, of course, you can find The Anthem at all your social networks, at The Anthem. Everywhere, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And, of course, if you want to be part of the show, you can comment in the live stream chat on YouTube, or you can text the listener line at 443-219-7595. So, we got a lot to talk about today. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, but first, can we talk about the L.A. skyline behind us here? I think
How about this, guys?
It's quite nice. For all the video people who, and again, if you're listening to the audio, maybe the video isn't for you for whatever reason. You listen in the car, I get it.
Right.
This is why we release it in multiple platforms.
Right.
But I would just suggest go to the video, just go to YouTube, check out a little bit of this video, and just see what it looks like because I like it. I think we're doing great things to up our game here.
We have definitely stepped the game up, and of course, there's Corey with the skyline in the background, and there's me. Hey guys, how you doing? And of course, so we are live only on YouTube this week, but I think what we've been trying to do over the past couple weeks is to step the game up every single week.
Yeah.
So we moved from Facebook Live over to YouTube. That allows us to go directly to where we were posting the episodes anyway. And I'm hoping that in the next couple weeks, we'll be able to expand outward. You'll be able to catch us on Twitch, on YouTube, maybe on Periscope, all at the same time. So no matter where you are, you'll be able to watch the video live as it's being recorded. And if you want to check out the The Anthem channel on YouTube, we've made a lot of changes. I spent a couple hours last night.
Rob's been busy under the hood.
Updating a lot of stuff in the back end. So make sure you go check out that. I was happy to see that the Heretics videos are still getting some good views over, the last year or so. Wow, more than a year that they've been up. They've been getting good views. So it's never too late to check out an episode of Heretics. We watched them with some new guests over this last week, and they seem to be thoroughly entertained.
Yes.
So it's a great thing that you can share with your friends. And, of course, anytime that you can share the podcast is great, whether that's telling somebody to listen, if it's sharing the live stream or the video on Tuesday on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, or just, however you get that out, sharing the videos or sharing the short films, sharing Heretics, all of that stuff. It's a great way to support the podcast. Another great way you can support the podcast, if you're listening to us live or if you catch this video before Tuesday, is to go through the Amazon link at otheanthem.com.
Cyber Monday is Monday, people.
Cyber Monday is coming up. That report was that $5 billion of online sales were done on Black Friday. And the sales only get better when Monday comes.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be shopping on Amazon on Cyber Monday, make sure you go to otheanthem.com. You'll be able to click on the Amazon link right there. It'll take you straight to Amazon. It costs you nothing extra, but as a thank you for us sending you there, what is it, the phrase you always use?
Wet our beak.
They let us wet our beak. And so we get a little something from Amazon to send you there. It's a great way to help out the podcast, and it costs you literally nothing, and all it takes is one extra click of going through The Anthem and going to Amazon from there. So I think... I'm not sure who's in the chat with us right now. USB PC2 saying greetings from Mexico. Thank you for joining us for the episode. I'm glad that we have an international audience now. We have an international audience. Roberto's not with us this week. We are missing him. Roberto, when you hear this on Tuesday, we sincerely missed you for Thanksgiving.
Hopefully you're back soon so we can bask in your warm embrace.
Sure, yeah. And something like that. And we're of course looking forward to our first all joint movie pass experience because You signed up for or you finally got your card for Movie Pass this week.
Yeah. And I've been looking. Today I'm going to do it. At some point I'm going to the movies. I just don't know what movie and where yet, but I'm going to do it tonight because I want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Last night we were talking about going to the movies, and it just seemed like it was too late, and we were all too tired.
Yeah, this was a weird week because like you got like a special Friday on Wednesday night, and did a bit of drinking on Wednesday night, and then Thursday, of course, was just eating and drinking all day, and we actually had a pretty sizable crowd here on Thursday night.
Oh, the party here on Thanksgiving was live.
Yes, it absolutely was. And so I think we went to bed about on time. It just felt way later because of the long day that came before it. So,
and it also felt like even though we fell asleep at like midnight on Thanksgiving,
right,
or roughly thereabouts,
a little after. I was like 1 o'clock, I think,
which is like a normal night for us. We were also high on the tryptophan, so like we were fighting it a lot more. Like when you stay up till like 2 or 3 a.m. on like a normal night, like you feel like that last hour or two is just a struggle.
Just pushing through.
Yeah, you're just like, I just got to get through to the end of this chapter or whatever it is. And you're writing away and you're just like, I'm tired, but I got to push through. That's what the last hour or two of Thanksgiving was.
Well, especially for you guys, because we were playing all the music that Corey hates. I know all he wanted to do was to take control and to play some hippy bippy nonsense, but the guests wanted to hear.
I kind of wanted to be like, all right, everybody, this is my home, so let's get up.
Well, we got to listen to some rap, and for once, I got to control all of the music, and everybody had a great time. We were dancing and drinking and singing, and it was great. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Movie Pass. Roberto won't be with us tonight, but this week we're going to try and catch a movie with him because with Movie Pass, why wouldn't you just catch a movie anytime?
Yeah.
And in fact, I know I've been teasing it for a couple of weeks.
And I'm going to say this. I went with you guys to see Thor.
Yes.
When you had your Movie Pass operational, and I did not.
Right.
And I paid more for just that one screening of Thor than I did for my Movie Pass for the month.
To be fair, you paid more for that one screening of Thor than I will pay for this year in Movie Pass.
Yeah.
2 months worth of Movie Pass was one ticket to go see Thor at the theater.
At LA Live.
Yeah. So,
which is our closest. I mean, like, not counting like Downtown Independent or stuff like that, which is obviously a great place to go check a movie. But if you're seeing the latest release, it's not at Downtown Independent.
But I know I've been teasing it for a couple of weeks, and my Patreon subscribers are going to get premium access to my review of Movie Pass, how it was to use, some of the problems that we got on the first trip, all of that. I might even do an update to that after our will be our third trip to Movie Pass tonight and fourth trip this week. But Patreon subscribers will be able to get that at patreon.com/Robert and Cheek. Sign up. That video will be live today for my Patreon subscribers only, so make sure you do check that out. Now, as I said, we have a lot to get to this week, and we've only talked for 10 minutes already. So let me see. Oh man, where do you want to begin? Where to begin on this? I
want to start with net neutrality because it's very important.
Yes,
and I don't think people. The part that alarms me the most about this is how people can't see the slippery slope, and I talk about the slippery slope a lot as a concept. But this one has a very easy slippery slope that I can give you an example of. So basically, again, for those who don't know, net neutrality is the idea that everything on the internet is equally valued. So there's no additional things that you have to do to get on the internet. And Amazon is as easy to get to as theanthem.com is.
Right.
So even the biggest players and the smallest players have the same spot. I shouldn't say it like that. Even the biggest players and the even bigger players have a spot in equal space on the internet. Yes.
Yeah.
And it means that if we create something like we did the UFO video,
right,
and it took over the internet, took the internet by storm.
Broke the internet.
By
the way, you can find that video at theanthem.com and on youtube.com/theanthem. So check those out.
Something like that, because the access is all the same. That video has the ability to grow without us doing anything special.
Right.
We don't have to pay extra money to get that video out more or anything like that. That is essentially the basis of net neutrality. And the furthering of it is that maybe at some point the companies that you hate Comcast, Time Warner, who's the other ones that
Verizon,
are like Verizon, AT&T, Cox, all these internet service providers that you were constantly going like fucking Comcast is the worst thing ever.
Right.
They might at one point give you the option in the future here of a value internet package, which allows you to get to like Facebook and email and 15 other sites that are part of their bundle. And you're just like, well, that's all I really need. I just check email and Facebook. And yeah, I mean, I guess if I need my news, I can just go to Breitbart. It's one of the ones that are offered here.
Right.
And then you're going to get a generation of people who just get the cheapest possible internet and are only able to get news from places that are not the forefront of the journalistic integrity spectrum,
And keep in mind that there are corporate motivations for all of these things, because when you get groups like Comcast, which is owned by NBC Universal, and you want to go to Netflix. Well, now Comcast is your only option to get on the internet. In a lot of neighborhoods in the Northeast, Comcast is all you have.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where you live, most places only have one option,
unless you can get like HughesNet satellite internet,
right? Or if you get like Google Fi or anything that's like
if you happen to live in Kansas City,
satellite based,
yeah. But in the end, like let's say Comcast is your only option. Comcast is not a fan of Netflix because they would prefer you to be pushed out to their.
They want you to watch
shows.
This Is Us, not Stranger Things.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, keep in mind that these corporate overlords, you have no idea. Like CBS is pushing its own complete online package.
But I mean, like just going with the Comcast and Netflix example, Comcast at this point can make sure that all the NBC stuff that they have is lightning fast.
Right.
You click on a video of This Is Us, it plays immediately. It's HD, 1080p, perfect every single time. And then you go to Netflix and it fails constantly.
Right.
Like, and it's not because Netflix hasn't paid the different, like the extra speeds, but because you can just choose who you don't, much like the store has the right to refuse service to anyone at any time. Like, I just don't want you to be able to go faster, so you're not going to be able to get the access to the fastest.
It creates fast lanes and slow lanes, and that creates winners and losers when it comes to the internet. And it's great. I mean, there's an entire segment of society, I deal with them in my job every single day, that are making money on YouTube. Well, YouTube is owned by Google, which is owned by Alphabet. And let's say that Alphabet and Comcast or NBC Universal get into a fight, then all of a sudden you can't get the proper upload speed in order to upload your video to YouTube. You can't stream, you can't make money, and it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with a struggle that's going on at the upper echelons of corporate life.
Yeah.
And when you have companies like, I don't know, the Anthem, that are trying to get a different message out there, we're trying to get people to listen, we're trying to get people to watch, all of those things, we would be downgraded to the far right lane, that where everyone's merging in and off, and everything's slow. And how can you start making an impact and have people see your content when they could go to, again, the CBS online app and watch anything they want at full speed, or they have to wait 50 minutes they have to go back to dial-up to see anything outside of that. And the bigger concern, though, is that, for Cox, which is owned by the same corporate company as Fox News, if I believe News Corp. News Corp is a controlling partner in Cox Cable. So let's say that you are not a fan of Fox News. Well, unfortunately, Fox is the only thing, the Fox family of websites are the only thing that loads with any given time. And things that aren't friendly to, say, the Fox message, like all of Twitter.
Yeah.
Nothing on Twitter is,
except for
Twitter.
Trump's Twitter.
Right. But most of Twitter is not really meant for people with a conservative mindset. One, it's not for that demographic, but it's also not for that mindset. And so if they determine that, hey, we have to slow the president's tweets down, but we're also slowing down all of this garbage that we don't want to see, then they do that.
Fake news.
And I understand that Americans as a whole are cheap. I am also very cheap. I completely understand that. And the problem is people will always go to the lowest common denominator. And if you find out that your package doesn't have Netflix in it, then maybe you upgrade to get the Netflix package, but that doesn't necessarily equate to a better internet experience.
But so here's the part that really, we've been talking a little bit, a recurring theme during our Thanksgiving conversations have been the Trump people who will never fucking get it. Like the ones who are just like, well, all this Russia stuff is noise, and if you just let him do his damn job,
Right.
like he could make America great again, but y'all can't let him do a single day without news coverage. Like the idea is that part of the allure of voting for Trump was the draining of the swamp.
Right.
Was the taking out these corporate overlords who have been in charge of our entire lives based out of the government this whole time. Great. Love it. I would love nothing more if we could eliminate the old guard of all these parties from politics. But intertwined with that is the people who are running companies. I mean, we have 6 media companies that basically control all of our news.
And not just ours, worldwide.
Yeah.
Worldwide, if you increase that to 8, there are 8 companies that control all of the news worldwide.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So this is absolutely doing nothing but increasing the swamp of media.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't help the lower guys on the totem pole. This only helps the big, huge money benefactors.
Right.
And Trump is trying to make the jerk with the big cup that
Big Reese's cup.
yeah.
Yeah, that John Oliver made.
He made the argument just recently in regards to the overturning of the net neutrality provisions that yes, there was millions of people who put in arguments on the FCC website about why net neutrality should stand, but he said we eliminated anyone that didn't have a comprehensive legal argument.
Okay.
So if you wrote this saying, like net neutrality is bad, I want everything to be equal. Well, that's not a legal argument. Yep. So goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that the will of the people is being misheard here. And I think this is one of those ones, and this is specifically a moment, like a fulcrum point that we can focus on and make it heard and make it known that we will not, under any circumstances, stand for different levels of the internet.
Well,
I mean, it's like, we as a show have talked about a lot of things over the last 190 episodes.
Yeah.
And there's constant refrains. We're talking about like police violence all the time. Mm-hmm. More recently, we've been talking about sex scandal and stuff like that.
Right.
If there was one moment, like let's say Harvey Weinstein stood out in front of City Hall on Monday, and he's just like, I'm promoting this bill that means that anybody who ever says anything about somebody sexually harassing somebody in public gets thrown in jail. You'd be like, well,
you would be behind that,
I wouldn't
right?
be behind
Like, because
that.
you really
I would not be behind that.
You just
but I'm
want
saying,
you want to be careful.
not at all, not at all. So, but I'm saying like everyone would hear that and say, well, number one, we shouldn't be listening to this fucking guy when he says it, because clearly he's not the one who has our best interests at heart.
Right.
Number two, this sounds like a horrible fucking idea. Mm-hmm. And number three, we should all stop this. And we all we all do our time. We all, like write our congressman and everything like that and say, I don't want this Harvey Weinstein rule to go into effect. And then they all say like, well, we're not really listening to all the people who just said Harvey Weinstein's trash. Like that's completely separate from the information. So let's just focus on the ones that had actual legal things to say. And
right.
all the people who did that are in support of this. So we're going to pass it.
So
you would see in that one moment, you would see the shift change from what we have now, which is people being able to put out information about people sexually harassing, to a point where people are afraid to come out even more because there's actual
legal
ramifications for it.
Yeah.
It's if we all saw a moment like that coming in sexual harassment, we'd be jumping through every single hoop we possibly could to stop it. And we need to do the same exact thing with net neutrality. We need to...
And it's a little worse with net neutrality because the way that this situation works is that the FCC actually doesn't have to do anything. They can just change the rule if they want. Because technically, they had hearings last year when everyone said in those comments.
Yeah.
And now they're responding with a rule change. Now, the 2 Democratic nominees on the FCC panel, are saying that they would like to go through another comment provision period so that people can comment in, and that they want to set rules for that period ahead of time, like do we accept arguments that don't include legal language?
Arguments?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or are we just taking any public comment, which is, by the way, the whole point of the bill that creates this public comment period is that anyone can just come in and say whatever they want. And it creates a big headache for the FCC because they have to sift through millions and millions of comments. But that's so the American people are being heard. But they don't actually have to do that. They can just take it to a vote and decide whether or not they are going to remove net neutrality. And this is one of those watershed moments because like the telecom breakup, Ma Bell being broke up in the 80s, there will never be a going back to net neutrality once we don't have it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because then it will be a constant refrain of we've built our plan for the future based on this understanding.
It's like the conversations we had about insurance companies and Obamacare. It's
Right.
like I kept saying, let's get rid of insurance companies. And people were like, no, we can't really just get rid of them. We have to stage them down a little bit.
Right.
And it's like, we're going to spend the next 150 years getting rid of insurance companies and coming up with a system that works.
Yeah, we have a system that works. It's called Medicaid.
But I'm saying, like, we're going to come up with a system that works that doesn't involve insurance companies.
Medicaid.
And we're going to spend all this time just paring it down until we get there. You know, like there's no. It takes so long to course correct on something like this.
Well, and the real issue is, and the same issue with the insurance companies is, are you willing to put up with the problems in the meantime? Because here's what I'm going to tell you: they are going to, even if net neutrality stays in effect, they're going to raise rates over the next year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, you know, this is the way we have to operate our business if we want to stay in
Bandwidth is really slow.
Yeah. And they are allowed, they're not supposed to do that because they are using public, the internet is public, the telephone lines are public, electricity is public, all of these things. They're supposed to be shared publicly.
Right.
But they will still charge more and they'll get away with it. So no matter what, you're getting screwed. If we're going to do that, let's at least get screwed in the way that we can talk about how much we're getting screwed online without worrying about how we're going to connect to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the bigger deal with net neutrality, I mean, yes, breaking everything down and having to pay for individual things sounds fantastic. You know what else sounds fantastic? Going into a marketplace and only buying the insurance that you want. But the reality of that is that nothing is really affordable because they find the minimum amount they can give you and they charge you the maximum that the marketplace will bear.
Yeah.
Which means that even people who in the last 10 years have finally gotten access to the internet, they're going to lose access again because it's going to be priced out of their range. And the people who have been having free and open access are going to be able to pay for a limited amount of access. And once again, we have to get to the point where we say, is this something that, I mean, I understand we have to pay for internet. I get that.
Yeah.
Although there is a big charge online to say nationalize the internet, to have the government take over everything that's being done by all these private companies and just do it. And do you have a thought about that?
Yeah, no.
Why not?
Because I don't want the government in charge of it either. Like the government. So, in my mind, the government and Comcast are all the same. It's all the same shady dealings that end up hurting consumers.
Okay.
The problem is that we've been trying to find that fine line of where companies can continue getting bigger and bigger and bigger and take up huger shares of the market and even move across different markets. Mm-hmm. But we're not. We've let so many things go through that we can't. Like right now, there's the argument over AT&T Time Warner merger,
which is only being blocked because the president doesn't like
CNN. But I mean, like, should. If you asked an analyst, should this merger go through? They'd be like, yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why it wouldn't really go through.
I disagree.
I mean, they might make an argument for like one or two things. Like they might want to divest themselves of this, and this to make it easier. But I mean, like on paper, this is a perfectly fine merger.
Well, on paper, it's a horrible thing, but we've allowed more horrible things to happen
We've let
before,
horrible things on that level happen before.
Yes.
So therefore, this one is acceptable.
Yes.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, we shouldn't allow these big companies to keep combining because eventually we're just going to have Umbrella Corp.
Yeah.
Not that it will end with zombies, but
one company we're gonna have 4 companies at the end of this all.
So here's my question to you though.
Excuse me.
Hey.
Damn.
What
that Cadoba came back.
What two countries have the fastest internet service in the world? What say you?
This is a total guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Japan?
Number 2.
Okay, so I got one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Something tells me it would be like like a Switzerland or something like that. Like one of those northeastern European countries that like...
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah. Number 1 answer is South Korea.
Wow.
South Korea. By the way, just sidebar quickly. I don't think we got to talk about last week how a guest of ours spit out the name of a city in Japan and I nailed its location.
Yeah.
And then we went through and you were like, give me, I don't know, 5. Top 5 cities by population in California. And I got 3 of the 5 in order on the first guess.
Yeah.
That's right. Anyway, so why would I bring up South Korea and Japan as having the fastest internet in the world?
I don't know. Why would you bring it?
Because they nationalized their internet service.
Oh.
And South Korea, its internet service is run by the government. Everyone pays a flat, low rate. And they have 7G service.
Yeah.
7G mobile and the equivalent of that or better in wired. Although they're living in the future. They don't even use wires anymore. Everything's basically wireless.
I should point out, though, that 7G is not like a straight... It's 7th generation of what their internet is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is 40
times faster than the
That's
fastest
fine.
You
can come up with a number like that. I'm just saying, like, much like Apple says, it's our new A8 chip is 54% faster than the last chip that we had.
Right.
It's like, okay, that's fine. That's great. Wonderful information to have. That chip, the new one, is still 40% slower than the latest Intel chip, which you can also buy.
Okay.
So it's like, it's one of those, let's not casually throw out terms like 7G and act like it's like a straight, going to be a straight comparison to when we get a 7th generation.
No, and when we get the 7th generation in 2041 or so, then yes, perhaps it will be just as fast. But it's on average 40% faster than the fastest internet available in the United States. And that's everywhere, to everyone. So I don't understand the argument for not nationalizing it and saying, hey, let's take profit motive out of this and instead say, let's give everyone possible the internet. And then you don't have to worry about the cost, Comcast, of laying lines. That's great. In fact, if you want to run your internet, your cable service through our government lines, that's great. You can pay for the privilege to do that. And then when people like you and I, want to cut the cord completely and get an internet-based television service, we only pay for the service.
I don't know the exact manner by which I would set up the system, but I would rather it not be a straight government thing, but be kind of like a quasi-government agency.
Well, that's what it is, though.
Yeah.
It's a...
Like, I would like them to be separated from the act of the government. And I would like, for instance, if... say the NSA said, we want all the information that you've collected over the last 10 years. I would like the Internet Corp, whatever that is, to be able to go, fuck you, NSA, we ain't playing.
Well, no.
And then be able to have these show-offs between the government and the government. Like if you have a... BGE has, like, sued Baltimore City, like, half a dozen times.
Right.
Over various things that they argue that the city did that was uncompetitive to their business, even though BGE is not semi-government, but like what's the...
it's an NGO, a non-governmental organization.
Yeah, but there's something...
Quasi-governmental?
It's something. They have a connection because they have to use the public...
Right. The city owns the gas lines and they own the electric poles.
Right. And the BGE is the conduit by which everyone gets paid.
Right. So in every country that has nationalized internet, though, that's how it works. A quasi-governmental agency is set up. And that way, there is no talk back and forth. It also allows the internet to stay up when the government, say, doesn't want it to stay up.
Yeah.
So the government can't just take it down. It's defended by another group. So just kick that around. I think that is a legitimate idea to try and solve this problem. And then we don't have to worry about net neutrality.
Yeah.
Because we're not worried about private companies trying to make money. It's just providing a service to American citizens.
Or Robert Mueller in the next week could just file charges against the president.
Yes.
That would be wonderful. And then maybe we can just slow down this whole roll a bit.
Speaking of Robert Mueller and of, weirdly, quasi-governmental agencies, Trump made a big move this week against... I guess what he sees as another sign of the downfall of the republic, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Like, literally anything he can do to try and screw over American citizens, he's going to do it.
Well, I mean, it's literally at this point, you can just find out what he's going to do next by looking at things Obama did. I feel like he's just going through a checklist of like whatever it is, clearly is bad.
Right.
And again, I've I have my qualms with Obama. I have problems with things he's done. These are not at the top of my list of things that are really like concerning me, you know?
Yeah.
Like if Trump signed a executive order saying that no US president is ever allowed to use drone warfare again.
Right.
Or kill innocent civilians, I would be like, "Wow, great move by Trump." Actually, really support this idea. But the problem is he seems to be going off the ones that are like his dumb supporters want the most, which is causing the trouble, you know? So I basically I don't know what the point is here. Do you have any idea, like,
of replacing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau chief?
Yeah, like I don't get why. What's in it for him?
He is concerned about his business interest and the friends of his who have business interests.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. He really wants there to be free reign for business. He is Reagan. He is what Reagan had wet dreams about himself to do. Like.
But I mean, like these things wouldn't really
impact
his businesses as much.
Why not?
Because I guess
who led the
real
lawsuit?
estate would be protected under that.
And Trump University, Trump Steaks, Trump Hotels, any number of things you buy. Anytime a consumer buys something, it falls within the pretext of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, mainly because most things are purchased with credit cards, which falls under the jurisdiction of that, and most things are purchased across state lines. Now, if we went to our local bee farm and bought honey, that would fall solely on the state of California because it's agricultural, it's intrastate agricultural, so they would have no protection. But like for anybody who's doing basically any kind of business, it's how much oversight do you want? And that's the goal. The goal is to minimize the oversight over all of these businesses.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, we're minimizing that oversight, but we're increasing the oversight on the internet.
Yes, that's his goal, right?
Ridiculous. I hate it all.
Yeah.
I'm really...
So for those of you who like haven't really heard why this is a controversy, it comes down to this. Number one, the Dodd-Frank Act, which was an act from 2002, I want to say, or 2003, basically created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau as a way for consumers to seek government interference, government action on their behalf against large businesses. Mm-hmm. So if I am harmed by, let's say, Comcast, it's hard for me to take on the cost of doing a lawsuit against them.
Right.
But the CFPB is basically a source for collecting all of these stories and saying, yes, we see a pattern of behavior here and we need to address it. So by law, what happens is when the director steps down, he appoints a successor, which under the act says should be someone basically in the line below him, the assistant director or a vice president to the assistant or something, somebody in the line of succession. And that person will be in control until the president nominates someone new and that person is confirmed by the Senate. Well, the director stepped down and nominated his assistant to be director, which follows not only his personal preference, but the law. And then Trump said, you know what? No, I don't like you. I don't like you, guy who's leaving, and I don't like you, person who's taking over the seat. So I'm going to appoint someone new. I'm going to appoint one of my cronies, who, by the way, also already has 2 jobs in the White House. Going to take this person with 2 jobs and give them another job. Like, at this rate, there are going to be 6 or 7 people running everything in D.C.
I think Trump's run out of stupid people, though. Because did you see the person that there was a Senate confirmation hearing about somebody who was going to be in charge of like the environmental protection or something like that?
No.
I just saw a video of the senators grilling her, and it's just like, all right, what percentage of the ocean warming is man-made?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And she's just like, I mean, I'm not a statistical person. I don't know the. And he's just like, all right, well, how about this? Is it plus or minus 50%? And then she's just looking there like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh, just wait until you.
You can answer the question.
From your guesstimate, is it on the plus side of 50% or on the minus side of 50%? Just like, I'm not a math person.
Experts disagree. There is no true number because different.
She could have said that though.
No, she did say that.
What?
She did say that. Experts disagree.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
Yeah.
Experts don't disagree. 97% of studies say that that climate change is man-made, and that a certain percentage of the heat produced is being absorbed by the ocean.
Yeah.
Now people argue, well, that leaves 3%, right? Except, I think we talked about on like maybe 5 or 6 episodes ago. Someone did a survey of the 3% of studies that don't show that, and they found the statistical error in each one of those that made it skew towards natural events rather than man-made events. So the science is in. Yes, man has caused climate change to occur now. We are causing global warming, and all of the results are because of men. And experts may disagree that it's 25 or 27 or, I don't know, 30% of the heat is being absorbed by the ocean, but all of those numbers are less than 50, and it's not a conversation. We know it's this. If you were to say less than 50, and here's the thing: if she had been like, well, I do remember reading several studies that said somewhere between 28 and 30%, and the senator's looking at something that says 27 or 24.
Yeah.
He's not going to press her on that.
No, he'll be like, that's pretty much.
She's seen something I haven't seen. I'm going off this.
Yeah.
And I need to be careful before I look stupid.
But I mean, like, as long as she doesn't say something like, well, I saw something that said that it's only 2%.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, so
where did you see this?
Where did you see that information?
Well, it was a story on Breitbart.
It's much like when Katie Couric was interviewing Sarah Palin when she was vice presidential nominee, and Sarah, it was just like, so what news do you read? And like the handlers are Palin are like, name any newspaper, like anything, and she's just like, oh, I read everything really that comes in front of me, and
anything they could put in.
I mean, anything specifically that you read, and it's just like everything. It's like when you get yourself in a position where you are so clearly outmatched,
right? And here's the thing, lie. There is no follow-up. Just watch the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, it's not like she's going to be like, oh, yeah, who writes for the Washington Post these days?
Oh, well, I don't really pay attention to the writers.
I don't look at the bylines. What am I, a loser?
I skim the articles. I am able to glean the important facts from the articles,
right,
but not the writer's name or any of the titles or anything. Yeah.
Here's the alarming part, and I'll try and wrap all the conversation we've had here into a big bow.
Okay.
Between net neutrality and the people that Trump is nominating for positions, and the even more alarming part of who Trump is nominating to the bench,
which
not just Gorsuch, by the way.
We haven't had time to even do that. So much stuff is going to happen. We can't even do that.
There is somebody who was just nominated to a what was it?
District court judge, federal district court judge,
who has never tried a case.
Yeah,
has never tried a case. Has not been a judge. Has not tried a case.
The American Bar Association qualified them as completely unqualified,
which is
the first time.
No, the first time they've ever done it up until now, but the third time they've done it since the Trump administration ended.
That's what it was. Yes.
And an additional 2 people who didn't get the unanimous not qualified. We got like 90% of the people to say not qualified.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, if you don't like Gorsuch, I get it. You don't agree with the politics. He was a judge.
Right.
Like, he has a track record of being, like, it's not like he it's just like, no, my nominee for the Supreme Court, the Hamburglar. Like, it was somebody who reasonably could be a Supreme Court justice.
Well, I mean, it could have been it was a judge, and in a way that any person who's a judge could be a Supreme Court justice, I suppose. Yes,
but I mean, like he was a high court of appeals.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, so it's not like he was, just like a DA for or like a local judge who's doing bail reviews in
Right.
Tupelo, Mississippi. You know,
Arguably more qualified than several people that Obama put up for the seat.
Yeah.
I mean, Obama went in a different direction and said, I want to put good people who understand the law, not longtime judges on the bench. And he was trying to build a burger court, and it didn't really work out that way. But Trump's going the other direction. The one thing that's really scary about this is that up until Bush, we really nominated kind of old people to do Supreme Court. Like, listen, we're going to put you on the court when you're 60. You got a good 15, 20 years, and then you either retire or you die.
But you spent a long and storied history as a judge.
Right.
So we could see everything that you've done up till this point. We're feeling pretty confident.
Right. And then Bush broke that by nominating Chief Justice John Roberts, who was 42 when he was nominated and had been a judge for 10 years, which, again, I give you, there's a long history at 10 years, but there's not the same as Ruth Bader Ginsburg had when she was nominated at 58 for the Supreme Court. 2 more decades of being a judge and having... Well, she was very vocal and clear about where her positions were anyway, but nonetheless, about having that experience. And moreover, I mean, in an ideal world, Ruth Bader Ginsburg would have retired probably 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But seeing what happened, she said, they're never going to be able to get a good nominee, a person like me, back on the court. So I have to stay here as long as possible to try and weed all of that out.
Yeah.
To wrap it all back, wrapping it all up in a bow.
Again, bringing it back to the guy who the American Bar Association said is not qualified.
Yes,
that guy is also like 30 or something like that. Yep. 29. He's in his second or third decade in life. Not even on the bench, just second or third decade in life, and he's gonna live out the rest of his life on this seat.
Yep.
Unless he gets somehow promoted to a better seat by somebody like Trump. Or beat.
Occasionally happens.
It's very rare.
Listen,
that budget.
They're nominating a pedophile for Senate. At this point, I don't put anything past the Republican Party whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I got nothing for that. But kind of on the topic of Mueller and Trump, I have a bit of a surprise topic for you. And
God.
I'm going to ask you a question, and your first reaction is going to be right into that camera right there.
Okay.
All right. Here you go. So you've heard the story of Robert Mugabe.
Yeah.
Give the people a breakdown. Give the people a breakdown of what your understanding is.
The president of Zimbabwe, who was taken out of power, essentially. You got essentially a golden parachute to walk away.
Right. So since the country's inception, since its liberalization and freedom. Independence, if you really want to call it. That was independent before that. But Robert Mugabe has been the president of Zimbabwe. And his wife, whose name starts with a G, and I can't remember it. But
George.
No. Let's say it was Georgia.
Okay.
The people of Zimbabwe called her Gucci Georgia because of her extravagant taste. And he was he ruled with an iron fist. He was president, but he was president for life.
Like Papa Doc Duvalier.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But not the one in Baltimore, the one actually.
Right. The real one.
The real one. So his own party.
Check me on my Twitter feed.
His own party stood up and basically they've been divided, but they found a way to come together to upend him and kick him out of office. In return, he gets $5 million cash today.
Okay.
And then he gets his salary for the rest of his life, $150,000 a year for the rest of his life. And his wife will get half of that salary until she dies after he dies. So that's with the golden handshake or whatever they call that.
Yeah.
In addition, his companies cannot be broken up. They can't be prosecuted. They must be left independent as they were. Mm-hmm. And he and his family members cannot be prosecuted for everything that's happened in Zimbabwe while he's been president.
Yeah.
Here's the question. Would you make that same offer to Trump today to get him to walk away?
No.
Why not?
Because that's a lifeboat for him.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take care of... It also doesn't take care of our Pence problem.
Okay. But
And-
so the other part of this
And the
is,
idea is that like somebody who's just as terrible and worthless could come in and get that same sort of deal to come.
But-
Like if
well, let me clarify.
like
let me
we
clarify.
talked about like Kanye running.
Before you go down this thing, let
Sorry.
me clarify, because the agreement also says that the opposition, the two wings of his party, couldn't agree on a leader. So the opposition is actually going to nominate the president until free elections come. So let's say that that's true. So the Trump's Republicans and the non-Trump Republicans can't come to an agreement on who takes over. So instead, we put a Democrat in the House or in the White House until to the 2020 election. But that person cannot run for re-election in 2020. That's part of the deal too. Whoever takes the presidency can't run again in the next election. They're there to fill out the rest of the time until the election.
Okay.
So go ahead. So the Pence problem isn't a Pence problem because he's gone.
Who's the Democrat?
You could pick any. I'll let you pick any Democrat you want in this scenario. Because you know what, it wouldn't be Biden because Biden wants a chance to run in 2020. Pelosi probably wants a chance to run in 2020.
She'll never run.
We'll see. We'll put Martin O'Malley in the White House until.
But Martin O'Malley's dumb though. That's his problem. He thinks that he has a chance. Like Pelosi has to have had that conversation. Like some close aide must have like sat down with her at some point and gone like, listen, I hope you know that all that we've done for California is going to keep you from being able to ever be president.
Yeah.
Like you burned that bridge. Like too many people in America think of you as this evil witch.
Maybe she could be the president of the Republic of California.
God, I would
Cal-exit 20.
I would hate California so much if they did that.
But hey, draw her away, let her run, let her lose here, and then we don't have to worry about her.
I mean, as like a sacrificial lamb, I guess it would work. But like,
So back
I
to
wouldn't
the question.
want to burn a good candidate and lose them in 2020.
Right, like
If I
you
was-
wouldn't want Biden to run.
Or I wouldn't want like even the fringe people who may or may not run. Like I wouldn't want Elizabeth Warren in there. I wouldn't
Lincoln
want
Chafee.
Lincoln Chafee.
Hey, if you want a
Jim
president
Webb.
who's not going to do anything and not going to ruin
Yeah.
anything, Lincoln Chafee is your man.
Yeah.
He's the white bread of candidates. Just filler. That's all.
No, I wouldn't give him that deal because I'd rather prosecute him.
But what if he never gets prosecuted?
I'd
What if 3 years
nothing
from now he's still the
says like we're watching before we started we were watching the documentary the Fall of Los Angeles,
Yes.
1982 1992, and it's one of the we get videos of Korean shop owners shooting black kids in the back.
Yep.
And I keep thinking like the constant refrain from the people who are like like the family members and stuff like that are like, what it never works out for us. Like nothing will ever be right. So any American who is not an aristocrat essentially for this argument's sake is looking at Trump getting his golden parachute and going like, they're never going to spend a day in jail. They're never going to pay for the crimes they do. Like they don't have the same problem that we have.
But that doesn't change the fact that they probably won't get prosecuted and they probably won't go to jail. At least this way we get our country back today.
I think I would rather roll the dice on Trump getting prosecuted.
Okay. So
Because I feel like looking at the field right now, there's one email from Kushner or Trump Jr. or something like that where it's just like, Dad says he's in. We're going to meet Putin on Wednesday. We agree to the whole conspiracy, and then that's it. That's the.
Did you see some of the tweets this week? Like literally, we were discussing it last night. He could possibly murder someone or order someone to be murdered, and I'm not sure that would be enough to get him out of office.
His supporters wouldn't go for it,
Right.
but the other 40% of the Republican Party, which is hanging on by a thread, would not let that stand.
But that's what we're talking about with the Mugabe situation, because when you split your own party, when your party's in control, that doesn't help the situation. It just leaves the status quo.
I think that the politics of the African leader are way different than the politics of America in this sense, because I feel like America is sort of set itself up to be able to prosecute a president. Like it's gotten to the point where they want we've been building enough things where we could hypothetically bring a president up for criminal charges.
Sure.
And that there would be some sort of venue in which this could happen.
They've done that. Yes.
Yeah, but
Clinton,
I'm saying like
Clinton did it. They did it in '98.
Right, but I mean like by the time they got to the impeachment part, it lost steam.
Right, because everybody was saying, hey, what if the blowjob that I got became public?
Right.
And once it became all about that and not about by the way, he was impeached because he lied in front of a grand jury. Nothing to do with the blowjob.
Yeah.
The Clinton spin machine got everybody talking about Monica Lewinsky, and that is what it became, and then nobody wanted to talk about it anymore.
Yeah. And Clinton, when he was being deposed, like doing the most excellent, boring. If I feel like if I was a lawyer and I was trying to get somebody was going to go on the stand that I didn't want to be up there, I would show them video of Clinton on the stand, just do this, and it's just like, what is your definition of kiss? Like, and like ask every little tiny detail and try and draw it out as much as you can. And
by the way, if you've seen the video of Trump being deposed, not that. That's being stupid.
That's the opposite.
That's the opposite of what you should do. Clinton played the smart dumb, where it's just like, I need every word in your sentence to be, the famous, that depends on what the definition of the word is.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. But also, but you pointed out another one, kiss. One thing he asked was like, well, can you define what you mean by kiss? Because you and I may have different ideas of what that word means. And by driving the cross-examination crazy like that, that's one thing. When you're Trump, when you say, I don't recall, I don't think so. Nope, don't remember that. And you're like, do you remember saying, I have one of the greatest memories in the history of mankind? That doesn't sound like me. I don't recall.
Doesn't sound like something I'd say.
Like you. But anyway, so yes, there's a possibility there. They will prosecute. Here's my point. I would gladly pay that. It's not going to be $10 million because he's not going to care about $10 million. I will say, hey, how much do you think you are actually worth? Because what we've learned is that, but I saw a great infographic that was like, Trump came into office with $4.5 billion, now worth $1.5 billion. And it showed how the Clintons and the Obamas and the Bushes and the Clintons before that all gained money as they rose to prominence, and how he lost it. And again, because I can't help myself, I commented on Facebook. I'm like, but you realize he didn't lose $3 billion. We just found out that he never had the $3 billion that was there. That's all. But so tell Mr. Trump, how much do you think you're worth? Let's say that it's $5.5 billion. Okay. Now we're going to go in this room and you're going to show this gentleman what your actual bank account is. And this gentleman is going to come over here and write a check from the U.S. Treasury so that your number in your bank actually reflects whatever number you told us before we went to look. Great. If that's $3 billion, it is 100% worth it to get him to walk right now. No prosecution for him. No prosecution for his daughter. Probably no prosecution for Kushner either, or Melania. And pay him his his $400,000 salary that he's going to get for the rest of his life anyway. Pay him that. Give him the Secret Service protection and get him to walk. And then we get an opposition candidate in for 3 years.
You would never. It would never work.
Why not?
Because it would require a deal like that. Would also just in the United States. I don't know how it's working in Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
but in the United States, to take a deal like that, I feel like anybody who is arranging it would have to have a clear and precise acceptance of the crime. Essentially,
well,
you'd have to get Trump up in front of cameras, going, "I know I did things that were wrong, and I'm leaving the office because of it." Like, you would have to get him to admit fault somewhere along the way, and I don't think that that's number one on the not on Trump's wish list of I don't want to
admit fault. You say, here's a promise from the Justice Department that we will not prosecute you. He signs that. This is not an admission of guilt. This is not anything. It is saying we were not going to prosecute you. You understand that. Here's your check. Go.
Yeah.
Because all he's doing is stepping down at that point. Now, the line of succession means that the deal would have to be struck between the houses of Congress. That who's going next? All right. So essentially, the way the line of succession works is it automatically becomes someone unless they decide they don't want the seat. So Pence, we need you to say you don't want the seat, and then President Pro Tem of the Senate, Orrin Hatch, says he doesn't want the seat.
Yeah.
And then all these secretaries on down say that they don't want the seat until it falls coincidentally to the person that we choose to take the seat.
Yeah.
And then that person becomes president, and it's a big political farce. But I think the biggest problem is that you think that African republics and America are somehow different. We are
I'm
just
not,
as corrupt. We are an oligarchy just like them.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that my hope at the end of it all is that if we find clear evidence of collusion or of any kind of like obviously if there was money that changed hands or if there was somebody who died or anything that could be can be brought to a specific charge, I would want to see brought up.
Right.
If there's evidence of it.
Well, so here's the best part, though, because now half of the country of Zimbabwe is fleeing because the non-prosecution only applies to the president, his wife, and his immediate children. So everyone who's been helping him for the last 30 years is like, see ya, and like rolling out with whatever the money they have in the bank because they're going to get prosecuted. So this means that all of the Trump people who helped him will get prosecuted.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm fine with that. I will take that deal any day of the week. So we got about 10 minutes left, and we do have one other topic we want to talk about because, oh boy,
what a police department.
Oh, boy. So this is going to require us to go on down to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
Exactly right. So if you listened to our episode last week, we talked with some sincerity. I'll say sincerity on my part.
Yeah.
About the Baltimore Police Detective who was killed in the line of duty in West Baltimore. And when I say sincerity, what I mean is that we talked about him losing his life and that being tragic, and then how, like everything that happens in Baltimore, that's been blown out of proportion and misused in order to shut down the rights of the average citizens of West Baltimore. But,
yes.
Oh boy, was there a bit of a switcheroo in that story this week? So yeah, do you want to catch everybody up?
All right, so basically, y'all remember the Baltimore gun division, the elite Baltimore police gun division that is under federal indictment right now.
Yes.
Apparently, the officer who was killed was going to be testifying the very next day against them in a grand jury proceeding. And the word I've gotten from people who are in the know about the situation is he wasn't the
smoking gun.
He wasn't the smoking gun.
Yeah.
But he was going to fill out a lot of the space that the smoking gun.
Yeah.
He wasn't the type of guy who was like involved with anything, so he didn't like know the inside details of what was going on. But boy, did he know a lot.
Yeah.
And he was planning on talking about it because he was a good and honest cop who had nothing left to lose.
He was the kind of cop that we've been talking about for the last year.
Yeah.
That Baltimore needs 300 of.
Right.
Guys just like him. Part of that story that came out is that he was killed in what the cops themselves call a black zone, which is, hey guys, there are no City Watch cameras here. So if something goes down, you may get fucked over. So don't go here and do things because we have no way of watching your back.
Yeah.
If there's nobody there with you, you're going to be in trouble. And apparently it was these black zones that the gun task force used extensively to conduct their trade from their police vehicles. So murdered on the night before his grand jury testimony.
Yeah.
Murdered in a known black zone in West Baltimore.
A spot that is known by the police for that kind of...
Right. And the type of area that was used by the gun task force for their business. Shot with his own weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one other thing. What was the other thing that happened this week? Or with that case? The radio. You had a point about the radio.
Oh, he was on the radio about the incident all the way up until he was shot.
Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything about his assailants.
Yeah.
I think he just described them. But I don't know that means anything.
Yeah.
So basically what we're saying is that there's no evidence that anything untoward's happened. But as I posted on Twitter, at Founding Future, I posted the image of the nerdy chick from Scooby-Doo. What's her name? Velma. Velma ripping the monster's head off, or like the mask off, and it being Velma's head on it. And I'm like, the Baltimore police have uncovered the identity of the shooter of the Baltimore detective. Like, it's looking more and more like it may have been a hit job for covering up the gun task force.
Let me ask you this hypothetically.
Okay.
Just a straight answer. You don't have to elaborate.
Okay.
Do you believe that members of the Baltimore Police Department would kill one of their own if they were going to be in this situation where he was going to testify against others at grand jury setting?
Yes.
Okay. So that part's done.
Yeah. Listen,
let's move on.
They were involved in interstate trafficking of drugs, and they were police officers. I don't put anything past them at this point.
Let's move to the next part then.
Okay.
I think that we should treat them with the same level of discord that we treat anybody who has been killed by cops in the last 2 years.
Sure.
Because you get a lot of, well, I'm sure Freddie Gray did something to deserve it because he was known as a drug trafficker.
Right.
And he was known to use drugs. And, he had 15 different things on his record and stuff like that.
And he had marijuana in his system.
Yeah. Clearly, all these things are reasons why we should treat him like a dangerous criminal before. I think we should all just look at this situation honestly and say, I believe, even though I don't have any evidence to necessarily prove it at this moment, I believe that there is a strong stench of the Baltimore Police Department killed one of their own.
Yeah.
And I feel like we should treat them like they did until proven innocent in a court of law.
Yeah.
Because that is essentially the treatment that many of the suspects that they treat. Like if they arrest somebody and say we got this big drug dealer, or we got this guy who shot 4 elderly people or whatever, they're gonna also trot out the they've been known to be a gang member and they've been this and that and the other. I feel like when next time Kevin Davis comes out, he should just be like, well, we know that of any profession, the Baltimore Police Department would be most likely to kill a suspect in a grand jury grand jury investigation. Kill a witness in a grand jury investigation. So I'm just putting that out there in front.
I'm not saying they did it. I'm not saying they did.
I'm not saying they did it. I'm just saying the preponderance of evidence makes it seem like that's how we're going to investigate this, because clearly they have a history of this sort of thing.
So the worst part is that over the Thanksgiving holiday, when people should be safe in their homes and be able to have their family members over and their friends over like we did to enjoy a meal, West Baltimore remained on lockdown.
Yeah.
While more than likely the Baltimore Police Department searched for an assailant that didn't exist. Someone who, and most likely they're going to find him. They're going to find somebody in the next 3 to 5 weeks to pin it on. And that person will go down for it, and there'll be some show of a trial and some show of evidence that, is inconclusive, but it's Baltimore City, so they'll be convicted, and they'll go to jail for the rest of their lives. And they'll probably be mysteriously murdered by a riot in prison, because that's what happens to cop killers in jail. But in the end,
or some sort of accident that happened, like the police transport van like flips over,
or hits a pothole and they
or water main breaks underneath, and somehow the police officer is able to get out, but the prisoner in the back is tragically killed.
Or he gets really upset on the ride too and breaks his own neck in the back of a van.
Well, that's not against the law, so let's go with that one.
Yeah. So possibly he'll break his own neck while being transported to central booking, and then be looked at 4 or 5 times and seem to be fine while laying in the floor of the police van and not moving. And then it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, so while that's all going on, West Baltimore remains in lockdown, in an unconstitutional lockdown where they're checking IDs to get on blocks. And
again, real quick, I'd like to bring it back to net neutrality real quick.
Yeah.
You remember how I was talking about, like, we're at this precipice moment? Like, imagine if we go back to the first time that a police killed a civilian.
Yeah.
Like,
Mike Brown is the one that set all this off.
Well, no, but I'm saying go even further than that.
Oh, because I mean, back when police were just slave patrols and they were returning runaway slaves?
Like, I can't remember the exact number, but it was, I think it was like England only has in the last 7 years only had 4 uses of force that led to death of police against a potential suspect.
Sure. Yeah.
And in each one of those 4 cases, they clearly showed like, no, this guy had a knife and he was not only like trying to stab people, but throwing it at people.
Well, there
like,
was the most.
or he had
recent
like a knife to a child's throat, or like there was clear and present danger of somebody else's.
The most recent incident in the UK where they used deadly force, there were several cops stabbed trying to get him, and they're like, "All right, well,
yeah.
At what point are we just going to stop sending cops to the hospital and just shoot the guy? Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's do it then. Let's do that. Yeah, but in Baltimore, the cops shoot each other.
Yeah,
and then,
but
I'm
saying they've decided that they're not going to have this sort of thing.
Yeah,
they're not going to have people. They're not going to have cops shoot people.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't get to the point where they let it go. And this is. Net neutrality's moment is like we've decided to just let it go. Like imagine if we went back in the history of police departments and went to that moment and
in
found
America,
it. Yeah,
where the first cop killed somebody. Yeah,
right. And we just go like, no, this doesn't stand, Randy. Like it's a similar moment, and I think we actually have a similar moment, sort of in the grand scheme of things, to take the opportunity that I spoke of last week, and just get rid of the Baltimore Police Department.
Right.
Just rid yourself of the problem and then start new.
Yeah.
And the city is not going to get any more dangerous than it is right now.
Yeah.
We're already at peak murder.
And interestingly, in L.A. from 1982 to 1992, the most violent time in the history of the city, there were 600 murders per 1 million. No, 244.
Yeah.
244 murders per 1 million people in the city. And Baltimore is at 330 murders, 320 some murders, for a population of 589,000. So,
and not even the full year.
Not even the full year. So we're looking at 600 per million in Baltimore.
I mean, they could clear 350.
Yeah. We
Easy.
thought 344 was bad.
Yeah. 350 is an easy spot to kill. Easy spot to clear. So, really, like, if I'm Pew at this point, I'm just pulling everybody in. I'm saying like, all right, I'm just saying like, Commissioner Davis, you are relieved of duty, and so are every single one of your officers. Thank you very much. Go.
Yeah.
And then I'm just starting fresh. I'm just, I'll make like civilian law enforcement a thing.
Don't we have to pay Kevin Davis like $15 million if he gets fired?
Not that I know of.
No, he's on some guarantee now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He gets his full contract if they let him go.
$15 million?
I don't think it's that high.
Yeah,
but I think he gets like $600,000 a year. So he gets his full contract for like 4 or 5 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even if they fire him. So, which was the whole thing. Like, don't hire him because his contract guarantees payment. You can't fire him, or we have to pay him anyway.
Just get rid of the Baltimore Police Department. I mean, more than anything, I just want to get rid of the FOP.
Yeah. But you can't do that without getting rid of the cops.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you want to ceremoniously fire all the police officers and then start your own police organization that doesn't have a commitment with the FOP,
right,
and then reach out to the former officers and hire some of them to be part of your police department, then you could do that. Yeah. But I mean, like, there would have to be a clean break between...
I mean, honestly, why don't we just set up fences and let the BGF have one part of town, the Crips have the other part of town, and just say, listen, keep the peace, don't cross the line. We're just going to put trailers up with marksmen on them, and if you get close to the wall... Right. How is it different than what's going on in West Baltimore right now? I mean, we're not...
Well, I mean, right now is not what we should be striving for.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess, but, city is what it is.
Yeah.
We are joking about Baltimore police possibly murdering one of their own detectives.
I'm not joking about it.
I'm joking about it because it makes me so goddamn upset that if I took it seriously, I'm
not joking about it. I think they did it.
Oh, well, yeah, yes. I mean, it's clear that they did it.
And
although we're traveling back to Baltimore in a month, so maybe
I don't give a shit. I'll say it to a fucking cop's face. I don't care.
Y'all murdered that boy.
Y'all murdered that police officer. It's like, hey, I didn't have any. I work in the Eastern District. I haven't done anything. Like, you part of the system. Y'all murdered that boy. That's how. I don't know.
we are stumbling into the finish, but it's just because we 190 episodes in. We talked about Baltimore in our very first episode. We're talking about Baltimore on the 190th episode, and nothing has changed the entire time. 3.5 years
and
later, nothing's changed.
we've made many suggestions of how we can make things better.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've gotten to the point. I mean, at some point, this is going to happen. It's the bandage you're going to have to rip off.
Yeah.
You are going to have to completely start over.
Yep.
In many different parts of the Baltimore system. There's no way to course correct when you've gone so far off path. You have to just stop, and start over. And that is going to have to happen at some point, and I don't know what we could possibly do to make it go faster. But if you strive for anything, you should strive for OhTheAnthem.com, Corey to OhTheAnthem.com, OhTheAnthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595.
And you can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, foundingthefuture.us, the news website, adeaddrop.com, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the Oh the Anthem podcast, part of the Oh the Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
And just remember, y'all killed that boy.